Hello everyone, welcome back to this series on React development. In this video, we'll be covering how to convert a simple template to a React project. So for this, I'll be using this template that is from Bootstrap. If you want this, you can just go to getbootstrap.com and just go to examples. If you click on download examples, you'll get a zip file similar to this. Now if you extract this, you'll get a folder like this. Now, if you open this, you'll get all these templates from Bootstrap. If you want to preview all this, you can just go back to the Bootstrap website and you can see all the templates are listed out here. We'll be using the blog template that I have opened here. So if you want to reference this, you can download the Bootstrap examples and then after extracting it, just go to this folder that is blog. Now, if you see the blog.css and index.html, these are the files responsible for the template that we can see here. So, to convert this simple HTML page to a React project, what we'll have to do is we'll just go back to our VS Code and then we'll delete everything inside of this div with the class of app. Now I'll go to the folder where I have the index.html. Now I'll open it in a text editor. Now you can see it is a simple HTML document. Now to convert this to a React project, what we'll have to do is we'll copy everything inside of the body . We don't need anything outside of the body because all this is added in the index.html inside of the public folder in React. So what we need is everything inside of the body. So I'll just copy this and go back to my VS Code and just paste it in here. Now if I save, we can see we got an error. So what is this? It says expected corresponding JSX closing tag for HR at line number 144. Now if we go to line number 144, we can see there's an article tag, but we can't find the HR tag. So what we can do is we'll just hit Ctrl F and then search for HR. Here we got the HR tag. So the issue with this is in React, we should always close a HTML tag. For example, if we have this HR tag, we should also have a closing HR tag. But this is not possible, right? So what we do is we just have a self-closing HR tag here. Now if I save, we can see we have a lot of warnings here, but no errors. Now if we see, we got so many more warnings. If we go to the top, here it says line number 1, logo is defined but never used. It is a good practice to always remove the unused variables. So let me go to the top and just remove this logo. Now if I save, this error is gone. The next one says that the href attribute requires a valid value to be accessible. Provide a valid navigable address as the href value. What this means is that if you go to line number 10, here you can see we have a tag with a href of hash. What this warning says is that we need to provide a valid navigable link to this href property. For example, we can just provide in the URL for Google. Now if I save, you can see that error on line number 10 is gone. We have a lot of href tags with a hash. That is why we get a lot of warnings. So what we can do is I'll just copy this href with a Google URL and then I'll go to edit and then I'll click on replace. Now in the first field, I'll just search for href with a value of hash and then I'll replace this with href with the URL of Google. Then I'll click on this right button that says replace all and then everything is replaced. Now if I save, we still have two warnings. The first one is on line 445, that is here. Here the issue is that we have a tag without an href, and this warning says that if we don't have a URL in a tag, we should convert it to a button and then use specific styles. So we'll just add in a href for the time being. So I'll just put in the Google URL and then save. And here we have the last one here. So I'll just go to line 455, and here it says that style prop value must be an object. So what this means is that a style property in React should be an object. So how can we do that? We'll just delete the value and then add in a curly brace and another curly brace inside of this, and then whatever style we want to set. So here it was top colon to rem. So here now if I save, we don't have any errors. So this is how we define inline style in React. The style property has two curly braces, and inside of which we provide in the property that we want to set for the CSS. Also, I wanted to cover is that normally when we change the background color, what we do is we just type in background color like this, but in React we cannot do this. If we want to change the background color, what we'll have to do is we'll have to type it like this, background color as a variable, and then set it to whatever we want. So this is how we do the inline styles in React. Now if I save this and go back to my browser, here we can see the data is here, but it's not quite structured. This is because we are lacking Bootstrap. So I'll just go to getbootstrap.com and then go to home, and then I'll click on get started. Now I'll just copy this CDN link and go back to my VS Code. Here I'll just go inside public folder and inside of index.html. Now just before the closing body tag, I'll just paste the CDN here. Now I'll go back to the browser again, and then I'll copy this CDN for the JavaScript. Now I'll go back to the VS Code and just paste it in here. Now I'll just save this. Now we can see that we have pretty much achieved the template. But still, if you see, the alignment of this header is centered, but in the actual template we have it on the left side and it is also bold. This is because we also have some extra CSS. I'll just go back to the folder where we have extracted the template, and then I'll just open this block.css, and then I'll just copy this entire code, and then I'll go back to VS Code. Then I'll go to app.css and replace all of this CSS with the new CSS that I just copied. Now I'll just press Ctrl and S to save, and then if I go back to the browser, we can see it is aligned towards the left. So how did I know that we need some more CSS to make it look better? So to answer this, I'll go back to the index.html. Here if we see in the head tag, they have linked here to block.css, the file that we opened and copied the CSS from. So this is how I know that they have used some extra CSS. Now if I go back to the browser, here in the actual template we can see we have bolder headers, but in our React app we don't have bold headers. So this is because they have used some other kind of fonts. So to implement this in our React app, we'll just go back to the index.html, and here we can see that we have the font CDN. we'll just copy this and go back to our VS Code and then go to the index.html and just paste it inside of the body tag and hit save. Now if we go back to our browser, we can see our React app also has the bold headers. Now there's one more issue. We can see that the thumbnail is aligned towards the right, but in the actual template we have it on the center. So to fix this, we'll have to copy some other CSS. So where do we find that? If we go back to the index.html, we can see inside of the style tag we have some CSS. We'll just copy this and then inside of index.css we'll just paste it in here. Remember that I told you that index.css is to store the global CSS. So as this CSS was inside of a style tag, I just put it in here so as to denote that this is a global CSS. Now if we go back to our browser and check our React app, we can see the thumbnail is at the center, but this is not it. If we inspect this React app and go to our console, we can see we have some warnings that says invalid DOM property class. Did you mean class name? As I told you that in React we use class name instead of class. So we'll have to replace all the class with the class name so that we don't violate any React warnings. So I'll just go back to my VS Code and then I'll go to app.js and then I'll just go to edit and I'll just click on replace and then I'll search for class and then I'll replace this with class name and hit replace all. Now if we see, all the class has been replaced with class name. Now if we save and go back and just refresh this page, we can see the first error is gone. So now we have all these warnings. So how can we fix this? The answer is already given by React. It says did you mean stroke line cap? So we'll have to replace this with whatever the warning message says. So I'll just copy this and go back to our VS Code and then search for this property and then again and then type in stroke line cap like this and then click on replace all. So now we are done with this one. So let me quickly fix the rest. And then hit on save. Now if I refresh this page, we can see we don't have any other warnings. These are warnings due to my extension. So now we have fixed all our errors and warnings of React. So we have successfully converted a Bootstrap template to a React project. So as an assignment, I want you guys to go to getbootstrap.com and just go to examples and download the examples and try to implement any one of these templates by yourself. Once you have downloaded the examples, you'll get a zip similar to this one here. Now if you extract this, you'll get this folder and inside of which you'll have all the templates that you can see here. So choose one and try it on yourself. In the next video, we'll be converting this template into a component structure. So stay tuned. Subscribe to this channel and also hit the bell icon. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.